All right. Hey there. My name is Russ Laggan, and I am the host of Attraction Advantage podcast this week. Frank Panunto and I pair up for some of these sessions, and then we go solo for other sessions to make sure we can get real intentional with specific guests. So this week, I have the one and only, the person that invited himself to be on the podcast, Will Penny.
You're not supposed to tell people that, Russ. For the love of God. You're supposed to act like you hunted me down. Not the other way around.
Listen, I'm going to tell you what, if you got the balls to put your hand up and say, I want to talk to you on video, knowing that you've met me. So I'm like, hell yeah, man. You got some chutzpah. And
you made the mistake of giving me your cell phone.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you, it's been wild. Like since we've transitioned some of the technology in the back end of our company into Slack, it's been a little challenging. You know, I had this conversation with somebody that has some actual push in this, and he's not super thrilled either. He's like, yeah, it doesn't work well for agents in a lot of ways. So, you know, the good news is, the great part is being nimble, right? I mean, part of everything, part of attraction, part of building companies is being nimble. Yes. So like sometimes you do stuff and it just doesn't work. You just lay on the ground and whine about it. No, man, just like freaking dig in and change something. So anyway, so other things are being developed right now that may be a better fit for you.
I'm trying to figure out what a thread is.
A thread. Dude, I was pulling on one of those earlier, and I think I might have unraveled something. Yeah.
Right. We got to show you from the chest down because it's just shredded cotton below that.
Shredded threads, yes. Like you pull that one string on the sweater, and the whole thing unravels like the cartoon. Yeah.
Right.
So Will Penny, let's do this. We've got 45 minutes or so to kind of wrap through some stuff. First things first is like tell people who you are, because a lot of people may not know who you are and know your background.
They have to. No, I'm kidding.
They're going to now.
They are going to now. So I'm in Akron, Ohio, which is south of Cleveland, which isn't too far from you.
It's not. Actually, you do know I graduated from Wadsworth High School, yes?
Yeah, you told me that.
Yes. And that's part of the reason I am the way I am. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Penny for your thoughts.
Right here. Sure. The one you gave me.
A penny for penny. I know. There's not many people know what those are.
No. So anyway, I'm from England originally, and I came here when I was 10. I became a citizen in 2013, so I had a green card for 30 plus years. So a lot of people don't know that. And we had our own, got in the business when I was 19, took my classes when I was 18. Took me 2 times to pass the test because back then there was no internet. So I had to go to an armory up in Cleveland and and I failed the test. So I had to go back and
I actually know the Cleveland Armory.
Yeah. So I got licensed in 1988 in April 18th of 1988.
Nice.
And I had my first closing in September. Then my goal was to sell a house a month. Then the following year in 1989, I sold 17 houses. And then by the time I was 25, I know this, will this be on video or not?
Yeah. For those of you who aren't watching, he's showing off a statue that
Century 21 Centurion Award.
Centurion.
Woo. You had to sell 60 houses to get this.
Dude.
I got this when I was 25. And these were made by the same company that made the Oscars.
The Oscars, yeah, that is pretty cool. By the way, dude, I had somebody we had on, I draw a blank on his name. If you see this, reach back out to me. The guy was sitting in his room, and he's C21, owns a C21 brokerage, right? And just for whatever reason, it's just not working for him anymore. And up and behind him on a shelf was like 30 of those stupid things, right? I mean, it was a bunch of them. And he's like, we're talking about numbers and talking about metrics. And I'm like, okay, so you want me to shoot you straight, or do you want me to like just hit you hard and make it hurt? And he goes, I want you to hit me so hard that it hurts. I'm like, okay, so look up behind you. And he looks up behind him. I'm like, you're never going to get another one of those. However, With the amount of dollars you're going to have left in your pocket, you can drive to your local Ferrari dealership with a suitcase full of money, go buy a Ferrari 458 or 488 Especiale at about $350,000 cash, and then give the $350,000 cash left in the briefcase to your wife for her to do whatever you want. And by the way, you can do that every year for the rest of your life, but you're not going to get another Centurion. And he's like, what the hell kind of seriously, dude? I'm like, yeah, dude.
You'll notice the other awards I have.
Yeah. Got a couple of icons there.
4 in 3.5 years.
Nice. How do you
so
do
anyway?
Oh yeah, okay. I was gonna say, how do you do?
Because I got icon in 5 months.
There you go. Got it. So you actually still know how to sell houses.
Believe it or not.
Good.
So anyway, we left Century 21 because we got pissed, not because I was like an entrepreneur. I was on a 60. The most I could make back then, because it was an 8% franchise fee, this was in the 90s, was 62%. And I was doing 6 million in sales in the 90s, right? So in 1999, I went to my broker, who was amazing. We're still friends. I go to lunch with him every once in a while. He has since sold the Century 21 office.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went to him and I'm like, hey man, one of my clients had asked, it was in December. One of my clients asked if he could put the closing out until January so he could avoid the capital gains because it was a new home.
Yeah.
119.9 for a new home.
Yeah.
119.9 for a new home. So anyway, my brokers, I immediately thought this is going to cost me. Pat McEwen says, push this out to January. Cost me $600 because I went back down to 50-50. So I called my broker and I said, hey, I was his top agent by a long shot. And I said, would you split the difference with me and just so I can get 300 of the 600 back? His response was, I have to get mine, Will. So we left. So that was at the end of 99. I worked through 2000. My wife got her broker's license because I'm uneducated. I wasn't able to, I didn't have a college degree, so I couldn't get a broker's license. So I had the drive. She had the brains.
Is that a rule in Ohio? You have to have a college
degree? They changed it, but then you had to have an associate's degree. You had to have an associate's degree.
I didn't go to college.
I went for a semester.
Yeah.
So anyway, the following year, February. So that was the end of December. February 5th of the following year, 2001, we started Penny Real Estate. All because of I got pissed off.
$300.
$300. I'd probably still be there.
Pick your client. You'd be working for Compass now.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe.
So anyway, 2001, we started our own brokerage. And I had a team, and that was going great. We're going down to Florida for 2 months a year. We're going to Marco Island starting about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I started what led me to make the change out of my own brokerage was the inability to sell it. I found I actively looked to sell my brokerage. We were doing $1.5 million a year in revenue, and a Coldwell Banker office offered me $250,000, which means after tax it'd be $180,000.
Yeah.
I was making about $100,000 a month at my brokerage, so I'm like, I'm going to shit can the entire thing.
Yeah.
For 2 months revenue.
Yeah. Well, you know, Will, it is so funny because there's so many times that I've looked at people and we talk about some of these different transactions, and what people don't realize is, maybe 15, 20 years ago, there were actually people doing purchases. Not so much in the last 10 years. They're like, I'm going to hand you a check and you can walk away and I'm taking over. That kind of stuff just doesn't happen because people start to realize if we take you out of the mix, you're the leader, man. Like these people joined because of you. It's not an employee-employer relationship where they're going to get a paycheck regardless. They're there voluntarily, right? It's damn near identical to building a church, dude. Like when you start to see it as more like building a church or a charity than building a business. Or a beehive, right? Sure, right.
Take the queen, buy the hive from the queen. She leaves. Yeah, there won't be very many bees left in 3 days.
Where are they going? Like they're following their queen. Like that's their person, right? Yeah. So what they start doing is they start doing 30%, 20%, 10%. It's like we'll give you 30% of company dollar year 1, 20% year 2, 10% year 3, and then we're good. and they give you some astronomical inflated BS number, and then they come in the door, and then they were like, well, because of blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, the number's next to nothing, but they've got you far enough down the road that you commit. And I'm like, dude, if you ran your business, Will, for 1 year, slammed into a brick wall, lit it on fire, you'd be 40% ahead. And not an indentured servant for 3 years. And basically, they're not going to pay you a salary to be there. So you're getting paid nothing to be there. So
no, and you can't sell a team. Anybody who says they can sell a team, I had a $1.6 million team where netting 800 grand, and no one's buying that. You sell it to another agent and they give you referral. It's called referral fees.
Correct. Correct. And that's really the only thing that makes any sense, right? Because you could undermine every bit of what they're doing. What are they buying? They're buying your book, your book of business that's loyal to you, right?
Yeah, and it's not contractually based. It's all on a hope.
Well, listen, if somebody's buying goodwill, you got a super advantage on that because your name's Will.
That's true.
And you're good.
Yeah. And I'm good.
All right. So
anyway, that's pretty much, my career. This is my 38th year as a real estate agent.
Wow. That is a long time, dude. That is a long time. I graduated in 90, so I'm not that far behind you in age, but
no, I graduated in 87.
You started in business way before me. I didn't start until my mid-30s.
Well, I don't have any skills outside of this. You obviously know how to make furniture and guitars and basses and you have all sorts of skills. I'm very limited, so I have to be loud and and abrasive.
With all of those skills, I don't want to do any of them 40 hours a week.
No.
I mean, that's the truth, right? So like the things that I really enjoy doing, I don't want to do that 40 hours a week. Like if I did it 40 hours a week, could I make the income that I want to make doing that 40 hours a week? And the answer is no, not without starting a real formal company and I'd have to have 20.
And 6 months down the road, you'd hate it anyway. If it was how you made your living.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, building electric bass guitars is a ton of fun until you deal with musicians.
And you have to do it to make your living.
And you have to deal with musicians. And you get this guy who's like, Russ, you don't understand. I'm hearing a wolf tone on the 4th fret on the 2nd string. And I'm going like, does anybody else hear this? Nobody else hears it. I don't hear it. Nobody else hears it. You're the only one hearing it. It's not my work, right?
Maybe it's tinnitus.
And I'm like, listen, man, here's your money back. I'm tired of dealing with you. But that's the fun part about having it as a hobby. I'm like, you know what? Here's your money back. Give me my freaking bass back. Here's your money back. I sold it to another guy and he's like, this is the most amazing rock bass guitar.
So that actually happened. The wolf tone actually happened.
It's an actual thing. I'm like, are you serious? Like nobody else could hear it. I had 5 or 6 other people. Like nobody else could hear it. It was him. It was, he was a trumpet player. Those guys blow.
Yeah. That's funny.
You're welcome. So let's talk about attraction. So you've built teams, you've built companies. Talk me through some of your chops on this stuff. Like you've seen me. You have an unfair advantage because you had to see me do my stuff with other people, but I've never seen you do your stuff with other people. So like, what do you do? What do you do to get in front of people in the first place? Attraction 1, step 1. How do you get in front of people?
Well, there's 2 types of attraction. Are you talking about attracting agents to my team? Are you talking about attracting agents to a brokerage? Like, what are you?
So this is both, right? I mean, attraction advantage. What's the difference? There's a great question. I don't think anybody's ever described.
Well, I think there is a difference because if I'm bringing someone on my team, there's going to be. Usually I have the advantage because they want to be on a team.
Yes.
And they need me.
Yes.
Right. So that's different. I have very long retention on my team. I have Rebecca, who's been on my team for 18 years. You know what the average person stays on a team. I have Laura, who's amazing. Laura's been on my team since 2018.
Wow.
Sam's been on my team since 2020. Avery just started last year. He's 19. He's already sold 3 houses this year.
Wow.
And Christina just joined my team. She's the wife of a husband running friend of mine. You make guitars, I run a long way, but there's no money in that. So my hobby is just long distance running with my friends.
I did multiple dozens of triathlons, by the way, prior to having both hips replaced. I was a triathlon nut. So
both hips replaced at 170 pounds.
Yeah, I got both hips replaced in my 40s, my later 40s, and I haven't run since.
Because you're not a heavy guy.
No.
Did you have like some kind of defect?
Well, that's a loaded defect. Oh, in my hips, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't shaped right, and then I beat the crap out of them. So you got bone on bone. I had bone on bone for a bunch of years, and I would run. We would like the swim was fine, bike was fine. Not fine, but it was pretty good. But running was just brutal, right? And I was like, oh, God, man, it freaking just hurts. And all my buddies are like, oh, yeah, I hurt too. Doctor's like, they don't hurt like that, Russ. So like you're hitting yourself with a hammer every step. That is not what they feel. And I'm like, oh, I just thought it was overtraining, Like, no,
not overtraining.
Bone on bone, you can feel
bone on bone is not overtraining. That's just a defect.
Yeah, so I got them both replaced, but that same, what? It's funny, Will, because the same mentality of the type of person, like Wendy Forsythe, Chief Marketing Officer for eXp Realty. She's a marathoner. She's raced Ironman, right? Like anybody that races Ironman, like when I'm talking to somebody or interviewing somebody and they're like, I'm a long distance runner, done, right? It says everything I need to know. So if we take that human is wired a certain way, and we take that type of human and plug them into a real estate setup where they actually have a system that makes sense, doing something reasonably that they enjoy. By the way, I built most of my business mountain biking in the early days. The rest of my business I built doing triathlons. Like everybody I knew was mountain biking or doing triathlons. So that's where I met everybody I was doing business with. So the mentality behind that type of person fits into the category I call how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of narcissism in triathlon running and long distance running.
Yeah, and some of it healthy.
A lot of it not.
Well, some of it not.
No, see, like example, my Saturday morning group, and these guys and girls, but one guy, Dave, he's 62. Last year he had the fastest 100-miler in the country. He had the fastest 50-miler in the country. Wow. He's rated number 1 from 60 to 65 in the United States.
Well, he's a glutton for punishment right out of the gate since he lives in.
But he weighs 148 pounds, and he runs a 100-miler every month. He did Western States and Hard Rock, which are 2 incredibly hard 100-milers, 3 weeks apart. So, anywho,
But there's a mindset behind that, and you carry that same type of mindset into everything you do, including building companies and building people. And there's a lot to that. A lot, people are like business and people are the same thing because we're business people.
But assuming that people that are listening to this or watching this are not there so that they get something out of it, I think that the most important thing is the mistakes that I made, team building, were imposing my potential for someone on them. I see Russ, he's put together, he's structured, he's got great hair, he dresses well. And then I listen to his words, and his words say, I'd like to make $300,000 selling homes because men are very masculine and they'll say that. Right. Russ has an expensive watch, and I'm like, oh, he's going to do great.
Gonna kill it.
And you do nothing. Like you could actually do nothing because your words don't line up with your behavior.
Right. So I break that down. So tell me if you agree with this. I break that down into in my hiring process, and part of like one of the chapters I wrote in my book is I hire for motivation and drive. Motivation is the things they're saying and thinking. Drive is the stuff that they're doing or done or did.
And you can't, right. So interviewing agents to join your team or your brokerage, I'm not talking about attracting at a revenue share model. I'm talking about if you have your own company and you want them to come work at your brokerage or on your team, right? Then you're going to have a much more personal relationship with those agents. And if they don't do the right thing or enough of it, it's going to cost you money, lawsuits, grief, right? So you want to be careful. Right. And I found that it's very much like getting a tenant or interviewing someone for a job. Like I was telling my daughter, my daughter has a job, but she doesn't like her employer. And so she was going to, I told her, I said, you need to go out and interview for a job while you're employed, because
Yes.
when you're interviewing with the interviewer, if you are employed, there's one piece of the puzzle they don't have to think about, which is where you're lying.
Yeah.
Because when you're between jobs, they're never going to get the full story, and they're as much focused on why you're between jobs as what you're saying about what you're capable of. And the problem is, when someone's joining your team or your brokerage, you have to find out very quickly, are they leaving? Are they looking for a shiny object? Are they trying to find something that will make them better? And we don't want people like that. We don't want shiny object people. We don't want people that sees what we have to offer, and that's going to make them work. Right.
So somebody else is willing to take the risk on them and say that somebody agreed that they weren't damaged enough to hire. Right. Which I mean,
but they're not there anymore, assuming, or they want to leave. And in this day and age, you can never get the whole story.
No,
I can't call you and say, hey, Kathy just left your brokerage. What was wrong with her? You're just going to be like, she was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
wish her all the best.
Yeah, exactly. Doors always open.
It was 2010-ish, 11-ish. And I had this person in the office that was just a battle axe, not old, just a battle. I just fought every freaking, like, always had a problem with every week in the office. Somebody's in the office going, this person, so many complaints about her. And I finally got to the point where, like, I've had enough. I've addressed it 5 times. I'm done. So I bring the person to my office and I was like, hey, listen, here's the deal. Like, you don't get to work here anymore. Like, I'm tired of the nonsense. I'm tired of the drama. Like,
here's the deal.
It's no fun anymore. Like, right. I need you to go somewhere else. And she's like, well, what are you trying to say? I'm like, well, I'd say you're fired, but you're not employed. You're 1099. I'm just simply saying you don't get to come here and do business anymore. Go find someone, put your license. And it wasn't being cruel, but I had to get to the point where I actually said, you're fired. Not that I can fire you. You're 1099. Like, it's not worth having you around here. I got a text like 3 hours later, already have another job, or already signed up at by the way, she went to a C21 office. She went to C21 Town and Country. And she's like, and by the way, they're going to give me a bunch of leads. And at that time, that office, their top producer had 2.3 million closed. I'm like, they're giving out all these leads and your top producers at 2.3 million. Like, what are they giving them? So, you literally can go anywhere. So
they would say anything just like she would say anything. They were saying anything to each other.
Agreed. It's the wildest thing in the world when you're looking at real estate agents and the conversations in the interview process. Most people don't make it a 2-way interview process, but like for you with a team, there's a difference with you with a team in a lot of ways, because you need to make sure that they're a good fit for you and you're a good fit for them. And I think that's where we lose the control in the conversation, because most brokerages are so desperate to get anybody and just see if they work out that they'll tell them whatever they need to tell them to get that agent to say yes. That agent can go to seven offices in one day, and every single one of them will make him an offer.
So when I shut my brokerage down in 2021, and I would consider myself to be pretty followable, because I'm always nice to real estate agents. I don't get pissy with them. If they're new, I try to help them, but not in a condescending way.
Yeah.
I had 7 people when I left Penny Real Estate. I could have had 50, but so when you're, just to give some value here, if you're hiring someone to your team, or you're bringing someone or attracting someone to your team, where I think a lot of team leaders go wrong is they're overselling it. So that takes the control out of them and puts it on the other person.
Yep.
They're eyeing the person up and down on how good they think they're going to be, and which is not going to work. I mean, again, my case study was Joe, and I met Joe at Burger FI, and he was dressed really well, great looking guy, lifted weights, 37 years old. His brother made $300,000 a year. He was at KW. I had Penny Real Estate. This was probably 2018. He said that he wanted to make a change. He was frustrated. He wanted to make 300,000 a year. I looked at his watch. I looked at his hair. I looked at his face. I looked at his muscles. I looked at his dress, and I thought, this guy's going to do great. I might as well have had my eyes closed.
Well, because, they say looks can be deceiving, and in that case,
because I didn't. It's not even that. It's about, I spent no time asking about what he had done up to this point.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think a big part of the interviewing process, you can't go by what their words are today, because they want to work with you.
Yeah.
Or they're at least trying to pick one of three, right?
Right.
And so we need to find out, there's a couple things that I was always playing against each other. One is because you can't make someone do more than they want to do.
Agreed.
Right? That's why and again, I'm getting ahead. You have to have them set their own goals, and then the best you can do is hold them accountable to those. You know, John Cheplack says that. You can't get someone that wants to sell 30 homes and say, but I think you can do 40. You can't create a team goal of 200 transactions. And I come to Russ and I say, Russ, you did 20 transactions this last year. Let's do 30 this year, without finding out, did you even want to do 20? Was 20 too many? How does that fit into your life right now? Right? So that's really what's important. So you have to find out what they really want to do, what drives it, and then just the best you can do as a team leader is hold them accountable to that.
Hold them accountable to their plan for what they want for themselves. Yes.
Correct. All right.
You can want more, and you can guide more. And you'll find a lot of times when people start hitting the metrics that they set for themselves, then they will start to move the bar up, which is good. And facilitating an environment where they can move that bar up is good. But yeah, I mean, if you get, motivating somebody to run 5Ks if they're not a runner at all.
That's right.
That's so freaking hard. Can you get them to run for a little while? Yeah. Can you get them to do a 5K? Yeah. Are they going to go out and crush a marathon in the next year? They're not going to naturally be like, I'm going to do a marathon next.
It's no different. We can take these analogies farther and farther and farther.
Same
when they, like, I see being at a revenue share model as a team leader and a previous brokerage owner, I see that as a huge opportunity. But when we try to impose that on a solo agent, there's no difference between doing that and saying, I think you should start a team.
Yeah.
You get a solo agent and say, I think you should start a team. The vast majority of them are going to say, no, I just want to sell more houses and maybe get some help to be able to work fewer hours. But even though I think it's like, Russ, you're an amazing real estate agent. The next logical move for you is to start a team.
Yes.
And then understanding why all I do is push you away.
Yeah.
Right.
And I get them at 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, and they realize that was the wrong advice. That was the worst advice. And the moment they started their team, they lost all their freedom, and they don't have time freedom. They make less money. They work more hours, and they hate their freaking life.
Because now they've got a part-time job in the human business, and they're a realtor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, for some people it works great, but others it's a death sentence.
But they have to come to it on their own. That's why
they're
transactional people. Okay. They trade time for money, because you're never going to get someone, none of the attractors, recruiters at any of the cloud-based brokerages are solo agents that you just bang them over the head until they recruited. You might not have seen it. You might not have noticed it, but inside them, they were already thinking, I would like to grow. I would like to grow. And once they see a platform that will let them grow, well, then they grow. They're perfectly fine trading time for money. They would just like to maybe have the leverage for them would be like getting an assistant or a transaction coordinator, right?
Right.
Because again, you're going to have transactional people who are selling houses, and you're not going to convince them, which is why at most of the cloud-based brokerages, they're like, gosh, even though this is such an amazing opportunity, only 8 to 10% of the people ever recruit more than one person. And that's why so many of the quote unquote icon agents at EXP, most of them have nobody in their quote unquote downline, because they're naturally drawn to selling more homes.
Yeah. So I think it's people get stuck in the bucket is trade time for money, selling houses. I sell a house, get paid, sell a house, get paid, sell a house, get paid. And then there's other people that start to say, yeah, in the course of doing this, I'm meeting other people, and people can equal money also. In addition to trade time for money with houses, people can equal cash too. So you've got two equations potentially and two income streams potentially. If you've got the ability to get out of that transactional mindset and get into that multi-stream of income, multi-bucket of income. You've heard me say this before.
But you can say it as eloquently as you say it.
Yeah.
If you say it if you had that and I think your presentation is authentic and one of the best I've seen. However, if you went down a line of 100 real estate agents and said that to successful ones, not ones that are scratching by, but successful ones that are working 60 hours a week, maybe 12 of them would actually be like, oh, that sounds good. The other 88 will be like, oh, I don't want to deal with people. It's a completely different, it's a completely different thing.
Well, so I think that brings out a good point, right? It's because people are what they are. And
exactly.
They are what they are, and we need to allow them to be what they are and not to try to convert them into what we want them to be or what we think they should be. We can't want so much for them that it's more than what they want for themselves.
That's right.
And being able to say, so for me, my job is to say, okay, great. Well, when I say that, the people that go, dude, tell me more. Those are my tribe.
Correct.
Right. So being able to say, I don't worry. What about the 88%, Russ? I'm like, I don't care about the 88%. I want the 5% of that 12%.
Right.
I don't even want the bottom half of that 12%. I want the top of that 5%.
So if we just bring it down, a lot of the team leaders, okay, the reason they fail for a couple of reasons. First of all, leadership is something that is learned. It's not something that is innate. And most real estate agents, they're the ones that say, I'm a really good agent. My next step now is to start a team. Okay. Right. But they're busy. They're working 60 hours a week. I talked to a guy last week. He's working 60 hours a week. He has a team, or he's a solo agent selling 40 homes a year, and he wants to start a team. In his mind, he wants to do it because he thinks that is the next logical solution to freeing his time up. And I said, right now, if you were selling 40 homes a year, I said, can you afford to have your income drop? And he said, no. I said, okay, well, if you start a team, and I said, and he's married. I said, is your wife frustrated with you for working 60 to 70 hours a week? He said, yes. I said, well, does she get angry with you when you have to miss dinners or you're unpredictable in terms of being home on time? She said, yes. I said, well, the good news is she still loves you. So you've got time to fix it. Yeah. Because once she becomes indifferent, you're done. I said, so let's first work on getting your time down. I said, because if you're a solo agent and your next step is to start a team, but you don't get your own life under control, right? All you're going to do is add a 20 to 25 hour a week part-time job as a team leader on top of your sales job. Yep. And what's going to happen is you're now going to be in the business of helping these agents, and everyone's going to be like, during the courting stage, everyone's going to be excited. We're going to crush this, flame and fist emoji. But you get through that courting stage, just like through the dating stage in a relationship. And then what happens is you're just selling fewer homes, spending your time trying to motivate these people, because it all started with feelings. It's why the worst divorces start off with an amazing date. Yes. Right? Every divorce starts off with an I do. Yes. And that's how most teams that blow up start off with mashing people together they shouldn't have been together in the first place. But at the beginning, people get connected based on energy and looks and all of that. But then after that, if you don't have it, if you didn't pick properly, it's going to fall apart or it's going to be unproductive. And I think that's where most team leaders and recruiters fall short. Because the other thing that I'm always thinking about when I added someone to my team is I'm like gauging them. How are they going to click with my other team members so that resentment won't build and damage what I've already built? Right. Right. So there's all of that. And I think most team leaders, they do not think that way. They don't. And that's why most teams are not productive financially. I think building a team a lot of times, I mean, this may be a bad example. So it really is, when you're building a team, it really is very much like
to being married to multiple people, right? So like I'm the sole, right? It's plural marriage, really, in a lot of ways. I mean, from a business perspective, it's like every time you add somebody, like me, I'm adding another wife. It's like, are the two wives I got to get along? And then my wife watches that sister wives show, and it drives me nuts, and I can't even be in the room watching it because it just is so wild watching the dynamics go with it. But it's
and the guy is just so punchable. He's just so punchable. You just want to punch the guy in the face.
It's one of those things you sit back and you go like, bad leadership, bad leader, and choosing poor teammates. It's the same thing, right?
Because he's bringing people in based on his excitement and electricity, and that's how most of us hire to our team, because we're so focused on building a team. We have, because we let ego drive it. So we just want we want to just build this team so others can see. I talked to a guy last year at KW. And he's got a 300 transaction team with 8 people on it. And I won't waste the time of saying, how much do you think he made, right? So he has 300 transactions in, I don't want to say just in case someone knows or he listens to this, but he's on the East Coast somewhere. 300 transactions, 50 some million. He made 150 grand. 150 grand.
Yeah.
He had a director of operations he was paying 150,000 to. He had a director of sales that he was paying 80,000 to. He completely outsourced his core competencies.
Right.
He completely outsourced his core competencies that made him a good agent in the first place. So he stepped away because his only focus was so that he could be brought up on stage and shown as a successful team leader. And he traded everything for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I think the challenge with attraction in general is that people are very unclear on what they're trying to achieve. And if you're not super clear on what you're trying to achieve, I mean, the first time I talked to somebody about building a team, I'm like, what are you trying to do? And they're like, I just don't want to grind all day. And I'd rather, and I'm going like, hang on a second.
Don't start a team then.
Okay. So if it's about working, making more money and working less hours, let's talk about how to optimize and leverage that. As yourself first, right? If the average solo, you tell me, the average solo agent, if you give them good support, good systems, and one good admin, how many sales can they close in a year without blowing their brains out?
I have done 110.
Okay, my best year is 143 with 1 full-time, 1 part-time.
Yeah, so my best was 110 transactions in 2010 as the market was crashing. I did phenomenally well, because we lost half our agents. I had a showing agent, and that's it. And I did it's only 2 a week.
Yeah.
It's 2 a week.
Mine was, the majority of ours was investor based, working with a buyer for investment based stuff, which makes it a lot less time consuming, of course. But
because they're buying more than one house.
Yeah, let's say traditional agent buying and selling houses, working at standard sphere of influence business, buying and selling houses. You can do 40 and 50 sales a year with one good administrative support person / transaction coordinator.
Remember this? Easy. This was 60 with no one, and I was working, and I wasn't working nights and weekends.
Yeah, I was just saying,
with no internet. By the way, no internet. No
cell phone.
No cell phone. No internet. I had a car phone. Yeah. No, so I actually have a coaching program where I'm helping successful agents, burned out agents. I have found out over the last 4 months as I've been building this thing, there are a ton of agents making $250 a year whose wives, because I'm only dealing with men mainly, whose wives hate them. They don't get to see their kids much because they're working all the time. They're completely unreliable. They say they'll show up at a ball game and don't.
They can't. They can't. They can't control their life to the point where they can.
But it's a choice thing. They choose.
That's what I'm saying. They can't because they don't have the business set up so that they can have the choice.
Right. Because I had a showing agent who would show homes at night on the weekends for me.
Yeah.
She would do all of my weekend activities, and I didn't pay her commission. I paid her by the hour. So anyway, my doctor's office type team is I have if your business is at least half buyers, then you need to have a showing agent, because you can do transaction coordination. You can do that in the middle of the night. You can do it overseas. It doesn't have to be done during certain hours in the day. So the showing agent has to be done during daytime hours or before it gets dark. So having someone that does that is going to take back, if you're a successful agent, it's going to take back 10 to 15 hours a week. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And I put them on, they were W-2, hourly paid their board dues, MLS fees. And then I would do the buyer consult. Again, core competencies. To this day, all I do right now is listing appointments, buyer consults, talk to my clients, negotiate offers. And then I've got 3 people that do all paperwork, show homes, measure houses, fill out the computer input sheet, put it in the MLS, oversee my transactions.
How did you find
I never gave away my core competencies.
How did you find your best people?
People I know. But here's where I made the mistake. Before, I would try to plug people that I thought they'd do great at, right? As a showing agent, you need someone who's likable, likable and reliable.
Yep.
Because if they're likable and reliable and they're opening doors and they're pointing out, you have to get them to go on a ton of home inspections so that they point stuff out and they have value, right?
Yep.
But a closing coordinator, you need to have more of an accountant type mentality that doesn't mind staring at the computer, following checklists. When you try to push one of those into the other role, it doesn't work. So you have to be if you really want to build a small team or a large team, you've got to start focusing on the personality types, because if you're trying to mash people together, it always works at the beginning, just like a fiery hot relationship in the first 4 months. But then when you get beyond that, that's 60% of marriages fail. God knows what percentage of dating relationships fail. It's because they get mashed together based on looks, potential, all the same things we're talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you want long term, you got to get the right people.
It's funny because when I talk about attraction and I talk about like the recipe that's on the cover of my book, it's like, where are you now? Where do you want to be? How are you going to get there? Dude, that is a recipe for the best interview in the world if you're going to date somebody. Like, tell me about yourself. Where are you at now? What's working? What's not working? What do you love to do? What do you not love to do? And like, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want to do? What do you want it to look like? Where do you want to be? What do you want to see? What do you want to go? What do you want to be known for? And then and how are you going to get there? Dude, if you know those 2 components and then that, how are you going to get there? Am I going to contribute to that or not? Are they looking for somebody to contribute to that or looking to collaborate with somebody on that? If they are, man, you potentially have a good fit. But if you're looking at this person, you're going like, this person's awesome right here. And what do you want to do? It's like, no, I'm good. What are your dreams? I'm good. What? Yeah.
You find out that they're a heavy spender. They don't save.
I like shopping.
They've paid their
Nothing wrong with
bills.
that.
They have a big ego, so having lots of big things and on their suit of armor is important to them. Right. You know, cars, watches, all of that, and that doesn't line up with what you want to do. Religion, so it's all the same thing with a team. You bring somebody on your team and they're not going to click, whether it's a small team or a large team, because if it's a small team, you got to have the people around you get along. Like my team, my closing coordinator, I've got somebody else on my team, my listing manager, and she works part-time. Plus my team, they all sell houses. That's how I've done it. So my showing agent, who is job to make my life easier, she also sells about 30 homes a year. Yeah. So I built a job description that she can't duplicate in the marketplace. My listing manager, when she first came to me, she's amazing, Sam, amazing. And I'm so fortunate to have her on my team. But at the beginning of the relationship, I was going, why aren't you prospecting? Why aren't you trying to sell more houses? And she would just either burst into tears, shut down, not want to talk to me. And then I would get frustrated. But then I realized she's got 2 young kids. She doesn't want to sell a lot of houses, but my clients love her. So I moved her into this part-time hourly role as a listing manager. Yeah. And she's thriving, and she sold 11 homes year to date. Yeah. So it's like she's been here 5 years. But at the beginning, I was trying to mash her into something just because I'm this hard charging guy. Why can't everyone sell 100 homes? Agreed. Agreed. So now I've evolved, because I realize you need to find out what people are capable of. If they can't do what you want them to do, is there another role that they would fit in so that they can be a positive here. And sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't.
Yeah. So identifying what that person's strengths are and where their sweet spot should be, and being willing to find the right person versus just find a person. I think
Yeah,
that
we all try to find a people, and a.
Well,
Now, if you want to get a showing agent, then but you have. I'll quickly say it. You can't make them 1099 because if you pay them hourly in 1099 at the end of the first year, they'll go to their account and you paid them $25. They owe $1,114 in taxes and they quit.
Yeah,
that's what will happen.
True.
Okay, so let me save everybody from that. You can't cheat and make them 1099. You can't cheat and offer them a percentage of the commission because no matter what it is, it won't be enough. Because I used to pay my showing agent 10% of everything I did. She made $52,000 off of my 520. This was 2001. Okay. And she came to me at the end of the year and she said, my husband says that 10% is not enough. I'm doing all the work. So I'm like, so your husband thinks that all the value is opening doors.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, good.
You don't negotiate. You didn't get the client in the first place. You didn't negotiate the contract. You didn't deal with the legal stuff. You didn't. Yeah. Got it.
None of my people on
10 years it took to get that person to do a deal with me. Yeah, that's free.
Yeah. So now, since then, nobody on my support, listing coordinator, listing manager, showing agent, and closing coordinator, none of them get commission.
Yeah.
For their role as that. It's hourly. I pay them bonuses, whatever. I pay their board dues and MLS fees. It's a part-time job. And the funny thing is, someone will stay with you longer at $35 an hour in a part-time job because they place value in, they got a part-time job making $35 an hour showing homes. They will stay longer than if you pay them 20. You think you're going to get cheeky and pay them 25% of the commission. And then it takes them longer to sell a house and they quit, even though the 25% is more money.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
But
so
not generating income today.
My whole support now is hourly W-2. I match their retirement. I give them gas money.
Nice.
It's simple. And that's why they stay forever. And then I train them to sell homes.
Awesome. Well, the good news is you obviously have experience with attraction. You've got the right team. You've got people. Here's the way you got the right people. They stay for a long time.
Yeah. And I retrain everybody so that when Jen goes on vacation, my closing coordinator, she trained Sam so that Sam now gets paid to cover closings when Jen's gone. And then Rebecca showed Laura had brain surgery. Well, Rebecca and Jen, my closing coordinator, showed homes for her clients while she was having brain surgery last year because they are all friends.
Yeah.
They became friends because they get along. And I would never in a million years bring someone in, have them not click, and rock the boat everywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Will, man, we blew through an hour fast.
Was this helpful?
55 plus minutes of talk back. Yeah, hey, listen, man, there's a lot of people that are doing attraction for a bunch of different reasons. For some people are just like, I just need the best people for my team. So understanding some of those dynamics, yeah, man, that's a valid conversation. Understanding, identifying transactional versus somebody that wants more. Being able to identify the person who wants to be able to leverage the people around them and is willing to do that. There's a lot to that. And attraction is very multifaceted and everybody comes at it from a different angle. So yes, absolutely. Valuable conversation across the board.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you showing up for Attraction Advantage podcast. I hope you guys, somebody out there found that as interesting as we did, having the conversation back and forth. Always interesting to engage with you, sir. Thank you very much for showing up and participating and being the real you, right? And that's the thing. Be your authentic.
And
you.
I need to quickly give you a shout out, dude. We are so fortunate to have you as a director of growth. You were so involved and talented and available. And there's a lot of people at our company that are that way too, but you're just an amazing resource. And I really appreciate knowing you.
Thank you very much, sir. I do appreciate that. So there you go. Attraction Advantage podcast for this week. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care, guys.